Crochet etiquette. Yeah, we're going there again. I started this video series because there is a huge conversation around crochet that nobody was really having, and honestly, it needed to be said. Crochet isn't just yarn and hooks, it's time, skill, creativity, and a whole lot of invisible labor. And somehow, the comments crocheters hear every day still feel wildly out of pocket. In my first crochet etiquette video, I spoke from a designer's perspective and shared ways crocheters can show kindness and respect to designers, which makes sense because I'm a designer, and y'all did not like that one. But even so, it sparked real conversation, and that told me something important. This topic hit a nerve. So in the second video, I flipped the script and spoke from a maker's perspective, directing it towards designers, because surprise, I'm also a maker. And that was the moment that y'all finally got on board. The comments rolled in and people started flooding the channel. But today, the video is for family, friends, and the general public, anyone who's not a crocheter, and the things that you have got to stop saying to crocheters. These comments that sound harmless but aren't. The compliments that kind of miss the mark. The questions that make us slowly put our project down and take a deep breath. I genuinely have no idea which way the crowd is going to go on this one, but I'm ready. So let's talk about crochet etiquette, because if you know a crocheter, live with a crocheter, or are a crocheter, this one's for you. Up first, and arguably the #1 gripe among crocheters everywhere, if you crochet, you already know where this is going, but let me set the scene. You finally have a day off. You want to crochet, but you also want to get out of the house. So you grab your project bag, head to your local coffee shop, order your coffee or tea, we already debated that, and you get settled in. You pull out your yarn, your hooks, and you start working on your project. Pure bliss. And then it happens. A kind, well-meaning soul walks up to you and says, "Oh my goodness, that is so cool. My grandma used to knit too." If you're not a crocheter, this might sound harmless, but let me tell you, this happens way more often than you think. And it's one of the most common things crocheters hear in public. So here's a quick crochet etiquette tip, and this is said with love, so you don't have to accidentally look awkward or a little bit uninformed. If you see one tool or one hook, that person is crocheting. If you see two tools or two needles, that person is knitting. Easy. I will absolutely give a pass if it's Tunisian crochet, because honestly, that one confuses me sometimes too. And if you're not sure, the best thing you can do is simply ask, what are you making? Is that knitting or crochet? That way you learn something new and nobody feels awkward. Or hear me out, perhaps the ultimate sign of crochet etiquette is letting someone craft in silence. A lot of people assume that if someone's crocheting in public, they're inviting a conversation. Like, oh, you brought yarn to a coffee shop. Clearly you want to hear about everything my grandma ever made. But no, believe it or not, sometimes we just want to be alone in public, drinking our coffee, counting our stitches, and minding our business. Up next, this one's a little bit harder to explain if you're not a crafter, but stick with me, because if you crochet, you've heard this one a lot. You're in the middle of making a sweater, you picked the yarn, you've swatched, you're counting stitches, and someone inevitably asks, why didn't you just buy that? You can literally get the same thing off Amazon faster. And then there's the flip side. You finally buy a sweater that you love, you're excited to show it to your family, and the response is, couldn't you have made that yourself? Now listen, I understand the confusion. I really do. From the outside, it probably looks inconsistent, but kindly, this is your sign to let crocheters live. Just because I can crochet doesn't mean I want to make every single sweater that I wear. Crochet isn't just about efficiency or saving money, it's about creativity, enjoyment, and sometimes convenience. I like what I like, I make what I make, and I buy what I buy. Yes, I can recreate sweaters that I see in stores, and sometimes I absolutely will. Other times, I want that instant gratification of buying something already finished. Both things can be true at the same time. Crochet doesn't cancel out shopping. Being a maker doesn't mean I'm required to hand make everything that I own. And no, the logic isn't always perfectly tidy, but crafting isn't about logic, it's about choice. So just know this, as a crocheter and a crafter, I can and will do both. And that's not confusing, that's normal. Next up, we have a classic, the judgmental critique we hear from family, friends, or even strangers. You don't need that much yarn. Now here's the thing, if you've never peeked at my queued projects on Ravelry, my favorited patterns on Etsy, or my saved crochet inspiration on Instagram, then quite frankly, you have no idea how much yarn I actually need. And to me, this is just the right amount. The judgment is wild. First, fix your tone. Telling a crocheter you don't need that much yarn yarn is basically like telling someone they don't need that many shoes because you only have 2 feet. And yes, that's another statement I'm equally not a fan of hearing. Here's the reality. Crochet is not just about a hobby, it's a lifestyle. We plan projects months in advance, sometimes years. We buy yarn with patterns in mind, we buy yarn on sale because it's a great deal, and sometimes we just buy yarn because it sparks joy. Every skein has a purpose, even if it's not immediately obvious to the outside world. So, as a loved one, or even just someone observing, here's a simple rule of crochet etiquette. Trust the crafter. Trust that they know exactly how much yarn they need and that their collection isn't excessive, it's essential. Because at the end of the day, yarn isn't just material, it's potential, creativity, and a little piece of joy waiting to become a project. Since I already mentioned it, let's talk about one of the biggest misconceptions of all. It's just a hobby. Like I said before, that couldn't be further from the truth. Crochet isn't just something we do to pass the time. For a lot of us, it's truly a lifestyle. And while I can't speak for every single crocheter, I can confidently say that crocheting often has a much deeper meaning than what meets the eye. Crochet is kind of like doom scrolling, except it's actually good for you and nobody judges you for it. A crafter can get completely lost in their stitches. For some crocheters, it's how they process their thoughts. Others listen to audiobooks or podcasts, and some watch their favorite shows, some blast music, and some just enjoy the quiet rhythm of creating something with their hands. Crocheting can be calm, grounding, and even therapeutic. It's a creative outlet, a stress reliever, a way to disconnect from the chaos of this world while still feeling productive. And yes, it might start out as a hobby, but very quickly it becomes a routine, a comfort, and a form of self-expression. So when someone says it's just a hobby, it minimizes the time, skill, and emotional value behind the craft. Crochet is art. Crochet is focus. Crochet is how a lot of us relax, think, and recharge, and that's anything but just a hobby. There's truly nothing worse than someone putting a timeline on something that in your mind has absolutely no deadline. So when someone asks, "You're still working on that?" Yeah, that can sting a little. Because if you really want to know, this is my boredom blanket. This is the project that I pick up only when I'm bored. And yes, I've been working on it for 5 years. That doesn't mean it's hard. That doesn't mean I'm behind. It just means I don't get bored very often. Not every single crochet project takes that long, but the timeline depends entirely on the purpose of the project. If it's a gift or a pattern test or something with an actual due date, that's different. But for most crocheters, crochet projects don't come with rigid deadlines, and a lot of us prefer it that way. Crochet is slow by nature. It's meant to be picked up and put down, revisited, and enjoyed. So when someone asks how long it's going to take, the honest answer is, I don't know, and more importantly, I don't care. People on the outside are focused on the finished object, the destination, but for most crocheters, the real joy is the process, the rhythm of the stitches, the time spent creating, the joy from the first chain to the last stitch. And that journey doesn't need a stopwatch. We're officially more than halfway through this video, and if you're a crocheter or crafter who's been nodding along at any of these statements, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Tell me which one hit the hardest. I may be the one sitting here making the video, but this conversation is bigger than just me, and I want all of your voices to be heard. Now, with that said, let's move on to the next question that tends to ruffle a few feathers in the crochet community. Why do you have so many projects? In a crafter's mind, this should already answer the previous question about why we have so much yarn. Because projects require material. That's just how it works. Asking a crocheter why they have so many projects is like asking a chef why they have so many groceries, or a painter why they have so many canvases, or a football player why, okay, I'm not gonna go the sports analogy here, but I will spare us all because I'll absolutely mess that up. The point is, we are making art. Creative people don't work on one thing at one time. We work in seasons, moods, and bursts of inspiration. Some projects are more for focus, some are for comfort, some are for learning new stitches, and some are for pure joy. And truthfully, the crafter in your life probably doesn't even see their projects as so many. To us, they're just ideas in progress. We're not overwhelmed, we're engaged, we're lost in the stitches, and honestly, can you blame us? Okay, now buckle your seatbelts for the last 3 because they're all slightly connected, and they tend to annoy crocheters in very similar ways. These are the comments that usually show up once someone's really gotten into crochet, falls in love with the craft, and finally works up the courage to put a price tag on their work, whether it's a finished handmade item or a crochet pattern design. It's the comment crocheters all around the world know way too well. Why is it so expensive? That question can be a true gut punch, because putting a price on crochet is not something most crafters take lightly. In fact, very few crocheters do it at all. And when they finally do, the last thing they want to have is their time, skill, and creativity questioned. Crochet pricing isn't just about the yarn. It's about the hours spent stitching, frogging, reworking, learning techniques, and building skills over the years. It's about the creative energy it takes to turn an idea into something tangible. And whether it's a physical crochet item or a digital crochet pattern, that work has value. Now, there are so many reasons why crochet costs what it costs, and I'm not going to go all the way down that pattern rabbit hole right now, but if you want a deeper understanding of crochet pattern pricing, I highly recommend checking out my video, Pattern Design 101. Seeing everything that goes into creating a pattern might seriously shift your perspective on what it's actually worth. And when it comes to finished crochet pieces, go and watch one of my crochet with me videos. Maybe the one where I made a scarf last winter. Even something that looks simple can take hours of focused work, and that time matters. This is a conversation we have to get right within the crochet community first, because once we learn how to respect our own time and labor, it becomes a lot easier to expect that same respect from the outside world. Next up are questions that might sound innocent on the surface, but absolutely feel heartless to a crocheter. You've heard them before. Can you make me one for free? Or my personal favorite, when someone thinks they're being incredibly thoughtful and says, what if I buy the yarn? Let me be very clear. Buying the yarn is literally the easiest part and arguably the most enjoyable part of the entire process. In fact, we were criticized earlier in the video for buying too much of it. Yarn is not the labor. Yarn is not the skill. Yarn is not the hours, the wrist pain, or the creative decision making. So here's a general rule of crochet etiquette. Never ask a crafter to make you something. If a crocheter wants to make something for you, they'll tell you. And if they don't, that's not an oversight, that's a decision. You see the pile of projects we already have. You know how long crochet takes. Give us the time and space to decide if we want to add another commitment to that list. And yes, I said what I said. There is a level of discernment involved. You might be thinking, Worthy, aren't you crocheting blankets for your local shelter? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Because those blankets are going to people who will stay warm, feel the comfort intentionally stitched into every single row, and actually use it as intended. That matters to us. If that same blanket were given away casually, there's a strong chance that it'll turn into a decorative throw, a permanent couch scarf, if you will, and that's not the vibe we're going for. Never underestimate a crafter's ability to choose what their time, energy, and creativity go to. Crochet isn't just about making things, it's about making them with purpose. Okay, the final statement, and this one really takes crocheters over the edge. Honestly, I'm hoping this is the one a lot of you have been waiting for. It's that moment when you finally open up to someone about what you're making, or proudly show them something you've already made, and they respond with, you should sell these. In that moment, all we can really do is awkwardly smile and realize you just don't get it. Like I mentioned earlier, putting a price tag on your crochet or handmade work is a huge deal in the crafting world. Yes, it can be done, and yes, many crocheters are incredibly successful selling their finished pieces or crochet patterns, but that doesn't mean it's the right path or the desired path for everyone. Selling handmade crochet comes with a level of commitment that often doesn't make much sense to outsiders, because the moment I try to sell the beanie that I made, people will ask me why it's so expensive. They'll compare it to something that's mass produced on Amazon. They'll tell me that they can get something better, cheaper, and faster. And then almost immediately, I'll have loved ones ask me for free beanies. The same loved ones who encouraged me to start selling my piece in the first place, which honestly is pretty ironic. So when a crafter says they don't want to sell their work, believe them. It's not because they aren't business savvy, it's not because they don't understand money, and it's not because they wouldn't appreciate the extra income. It's because we've decided that for us, this craft is priceless. As for our friends, family, and loved ones, one of the most meaningful things you can do is simply respect that decision. Now, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below which statement in this video set you off the most, or if there's one that I missed entirely, because we can't build a better crochet community if we don't know about these things and try to fix the world around us. And I'm not someone who likes to point out problems without offering solutions. So if you ever want to support a crocheter instead, here are a few things you can say. Wow, that's truly beautiful work. You can really tell how much care went into this. I don't fully understand crochet, but I respect the time and skill that it takes. And of course, I know exactly what the right thing to say right now is, because I liked, commented, and subscribed to the She Tried It YouTube channel. And if this video resonated with you, the next one you should watch is Crochet Etiquette 101, 9 unspoken crochet rules every maker should know, because it dives even deeper into the unspoken rules that make this community better for everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Happy crocheting. Bye.